What is up? What is good? What is going on, knuckleheads and wet shave fans? New wet shavers, old wet shavers, all kinds of wet shavers. Guys that are into men's grooming, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning into this video. I'm making a different video today. I got the idea from a post on Instagram. The Chicano_shaver, he posted a video that he had just watched, and it was about 7 things I wish I did differently as a fragrance buyer kind of thing. So I thought, this would be a great idea, and he actually wrote, this would be a great thing for a wet shaver to do, so I wrote him back and said, I'm going to do this video, it's a great idea. So this video is kind of things I wish I had done differently, and things I can recommend to new wet shavers, and these also can be handy for veteran wet shavers that have been doing this for a while. Also, chime in down below with any ideas of things you'd avoid as for new wet shavers, just to give them some ideas and stuff, what not to do, stuff like that that's not in this video. I know I can't get to everything. I know I'm going to miss some things, but please chime in. I love it when you guys comment down below, and I like having conversations with everybody. I try to reply to everybody. But let's get into it. I don't know how many, I don't have a list, a number. I have a list down below of things I'm going to go over, but I'll probably add some things in. So let's start off with the first thing to avoid is hype beasts and hype around things. Just like in anything, you get the hype beasts that only talk about one certain shave soap, one certain artisan. Avoid these guys. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with loving a certain artisan. But if they're only using one certain artisan's soaps and splashes and stuff like that, they haven't tried everything else. They haven't tried a lot of different things. So it's hard for them to give a huge opinion when they haven't compared it to other stuff. And some guys just love hype. So like brand new things come out. They've only been out for a week, and they're saying it's the best thing ever. It's the greatest, blah, blah, blah. Let the hype die down before you get into things. I'm not the biggest person on getting the newest stuff and sharing it right away. I like to use my stuff before. I'll do mail unboxings and say my first opinion of things out of the box, but I'm not going to give a full review after one shave with it. You gotta do at least 3, 4, 5 shaves, as many as you can before you give an honest review. So kind of avoid the hype beasts, the guys that are just jumping on the hype train, something new's out, this is the best thing ever. Try to avoid that, or else end up spending money on stuff that might not be that good. That's a big thing for me. I fell for this big time when I first started. About a year in, slants became the big thing about 4 or 5 years ago. And I bought I think it was a $200 slant. It was an icon with the black razor head. Needless to say, it was a good shaver. It wasn't like anything amazing, mind-blowing. I fell for the hype. It was slants only really become big for about a month or so. I was like, I need to get one. I had to wait another 2 or 3 months. The prices went down. You realize they aren't the great. They are good shavers. They're great shavers, but they're not that much better than everything else. So, number one, just avoid the hype beast. Avoid the hype, okay? That's number one. Next thing, eBay. As a new shaver, try to avoid eBay. Yes, there are some great deals on there, but if you do not know what you're looking for, you're going to end up overpaying or getting what you pay for. That's a big thing, especially with straight razors. If you see a Damascus straight razor, if you don't know what Damascus is, it's the steel that has like the wavy lines and stuff like that. It's beautiful, unbelievable. You'll see these for $29, $39 on eBay. Seems too good to be true. Because it is. Damascus razors are crazy expensive. It takes a long time to make them. You cannot get them for under probably $200, $250. They are expensive. So if you see one for 30 bucks on eBay, don't go out and buy it unless you want a really fancy letter opener. So yeah, avoid eBay unless you know what you're looking for, because you're going to end up overpaying or getting something you don't know what it is. It's going to be garbage. Once you've been shaving for a little bit longer and you know stuff, eBay's a great place to find deals, don't get me wrong, but you want to know what you're looking for first. Next, this is a huge one. Spending more than you can afford. Guys, the BSTs, buy, sell, and trades and stuff on shaving forums are full of stuff. Guys need to sell stuff to pay bills. This is an amazing hobby. There's so many beautiful things. Great razors, brushes, soaps, so much stuff that it's easy to get too into it and buy everything you see. Pay more than you can afford to pay for things. Remember, guys, you have to live your life too. You have family, you have houses, you have bills to pay. It's just shaving. You can get away with one soap, one razor, one brush until your soap runs out, then buy a new soap. So if you can afford it, by all means, if you want to buy a bunch of stuff, go ahead, but don't put yourself in a bad, precarious position just to get the latest and greatest razor or soap or brush. Only pay what you can afford. Set yourself maybe out like a little stipend or something like that, where you have $50 a month to pay for stuff or whatever. Just keep it within your means, okay, guys? I cannot stress that enough. Keep in your means when you're buying shaving gear, because it's so hard not to get it, to avoid it, because there is so much great stuff, and you want to have everything. I want to try every soap. I want to try all that stuff, but I know I can't. So that's another huge one for me. Just stay within your budget, guys. Yeah, stay within your budget, okay? Another thing is, avoid starting with super high-end gear. Yeah, I know some guys can afford starting off with like high-end gear, like $200 razors, $80 soaps, custom brushes, $100 plus brushes, and they're great. They're fantastic. They're phenomenal, a lot of this stuff. They aren't... A brush that costs $200, I don't feel, is 10 times better than a $20 brush. Or a razor that's $30 isn't 6 times not as good as a razor that costs $200, and the soap and so forth. It's very little increments that it gets better. They are better, but they're not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times better. That's a huge difference, guys. They are luxury products, the high-end stuff that you want to enjoy. So I always recommend people start off lower end. See what you like, just pay a little bit, get into the hobby first before you start making high-end, because I was lucky. I started off with like lower end stuff, Parasso soap. I had like a cheap brush. Now you can get like Yaki brushes, which are like under $20. This is like a vintage Gillette that you can get like at a antique store you can find online, or at a BST. You can get vintage razors or cheaper double-edged safety razors for $20, $30, $40. Start off with that stuff, because if you start off with something, say the Tatara Masamune razor, which is $200, you can get a tub of high-end soap, MDC, Martin DeCondre, which is probably like $80, I think, Canadian. It's probably more than that. And you can spend over $100 Canadian on a bore brush. You can do that, by all means, but you're not going to enjoy it if that's what you start off with. You're never going to have that aha moment where you're like, wow, this soap's amazing. Start off with like Parasso, because that's what I did, and then I got MDC about a year into shaving. I got a sample of it and used it, and was mind blown by how fantastic of a soap it is. It's nice to have those moments where you use something that's high-end and are just blown away by it. But if you start off with that, nothing's ever going to really impress you that much. It's like starting off your first car being a Lamborghini. You're never going to be impressed by another car. Well, like, not likely. Start off lower end, work your way up, and see what the difference is. Get that enjoyment out of the higher end stuff. So that's one of my other things. Next up, let's see what we have here. Oh, a big one for me is avoid, if you're a new shaver, mixing gear up too much. Like I said, start off with a soap, a brush, a razor, or have a couple brushes maybe a couple soaps. Learn the trade, learn your technique, learn how everything works. If you keep on mixing stuff up, you probably aren't going to get the greatest shaves, because you're changing the variables over and over again. Learn the craft before you change and get a whole bunch of different gear. That's a huge one for me. I made that mistake. I'll be honest. I had one razor. I had the Edwin Jagger DE89, which is I would recommend that razor for a beginner or anybody. I had that razor, but then I got one soap, then I got 3 soaps, and I had 5, and I had tons of soaps. So I wasn't learning the nuances of different soaps. I wasn't learning my technique, because I started getting more razors. I started going to vintage antique shops, buying more vintage razors, and so on and so forth. I had 6 or 7 razors within a couple months, and a bunch of soaps, and a bunch of brushes. And I think it took me longer to learn how to actually properly shave. I'm okay now to change up my gear, but back then I wasn't. I didn't have my technique down. So a big thing is just stick with certain gear, and that comes with blades as well. Stick with a blade. Use that blade 2 or 3 times, then stick with the same brand of blade. Use it again. If you keep on changing up the blades, you want to learn what the different blades are. Again, and I would definitely recommend not starting off with feather blades. They are my favorite blades, or one of my tops, but they're super sharp, and when you're learning how to shave, you want more milder, smoother blades. You don't want the sharp blades, because you're just going to nick yourself. You're not going to enjoy it. So start off like Astras or something along those lines, something a little bit more face-friendly at first. Learn your technique, get that down, then start switching up your blades and stuff. But yeah, definitely a recommendation. Stick with a couple things. Don't overload yourself with a bunch of gear. Let's see here. Another thing, I see guys that go kind of crazy on, kind of like the hypebeast, but guys that go crazy on orders when they start wet shaving and they just buy everything from a certain artisan. Guys, there's so many amazing artisans out there, and there's a few that I love, fellow Canadians that make amazing stuff, but I still want to try other artisans. I don't want to stick with just one. I don't want to have a whole closet of just one artisan. Just try different things once you get into it. Don't buy 6 soaps from one person and have that, because you're going to miss out on trying other artisans. And the one great thing about our community is we have so many great artisans, whether it be brush makers, soap makers, guys that make razors. Just mix it up a little bit once you get into it. Don't stick with one person. Variety is the spice of life, and it's the best thing about our community, about wet shaving, is there's so much to try, and see what you like, and then maybe stick with a certain type of soap or a certain type of brush, that kind of thing, okay? That's my other one. Let's see here. Another thing, when you're a new wet shaver, by all means join some groups online. Badger and Blade's a great one for information. There's Damn Fine Shave group. There's groups on Facebook. Canadian Wet Shavers is my group. A bunch of Canadian shavers. There's tons of razor and brush. There's tons of different groups. Go on there, get some knowledge. But one thing you want to avoid is spamming the groups with questions. Yes, by all means, ask a couple questions. But the best thing is write some post like, I have a bunch of questions about, I'm a new shaver, I have a bunch of questions, can somebody help me out? Somebody will write you back, and you can go back and forth with them. You don't want to write, are these good blades, are these good razors, are these good brushes, and keep on doing it. Because people are going to get a bit annoyed, because there is so much information in these groups where you can look that stuff up. So, like, I know Badger and Blade, if you look up, people will post there's a whole section of just what soap people use that day. Look through there, see what's popular. Do that. But yeah, private message people more than just asking a billion questions. Just something I learned from seeing people writing tons of questions. It's great. We want to help people out, but it does become a bit of a nuisance if it's constantly asking questions. Just my opinion. Next thing, when you're starting out, don't rush a shave. The last thing, if you rush a shave, you're not going to get a great shave. Even us veteran shavers that have been doing this for a while can say that. If I'm in a rush and I try to shave, I'm not going to get a good shave. Take your time, you'll enjoy it so much more. If you don't have time to do a full shave, just do one pass. Just do 2 passes. You don't need to go crazy and try to get... What the hell, is a fly in here? Yeah, just take your time, enjoy it. You'll get a better shave if you just take it easy and relax. If you're rushed, you're going to be tense, you're probably put more pressure on the razor. That's the last thing you want. So take your time, guys. If you can't shave that day, you don't have enough time, don't rush it and try to do it. Just don't shave. Simple as that. Another thing as a wet shave beginner, don't expect perfection. The chances of getting like a perfect shave your first try, not that great. It's like anything, any sport, anything, art, anything. The first time you do something, it's not going to be easy. It might seem easy, you might get a decent results, but it's not going to be perfect. If you expect to be perfect your first try, you're not going to be perfect, especially with straight razors or safety razors. It's technique. It's something you need to learn, like riding a bike. You don't hop on a bike and learn how to ride a bike your first try, go off and be perfect. I'm sure some kids have done that, but it's very rare. There's guys I know that have been shaving for a year or so that haven't got a BBS or a baby's butt smooth shave or still struggle to get those shaves. And that's normal. That's just part of the whole thing. And that's the great enjoyment of this. Another one of the great enjoyments of this whole hobby is learning the technique, learning different nuances. You learn how your face, how your hair grows, different stuff like that. So use the tools that we have nowadays. There's YouTube. There's tons of YouTubers that put out videos on how to shave. People that put out reviews of different soaps, brushes, razors. Use that to your advantage. There's so much information. And look at the guys that use all different stuff. If a guy is just using one artisan, it's hard to take their opinions too seriously because they're just using one person. But there's tons of guys that use all different stuff. And those are the guys that I think have the most knowledge. They have the most base of different stuff they've tried. So look at those guys. There's guys like that on Instagram. There's guys like that on YouTube, Facebook. Pick their brains. Comment on their posts. Say, do you like this razor better than this razor? Blah, blah, blah. There's so much at your disposal to make this hobby great. Use that. It's such a huge advantage. And the guys in this community are so more than willing to reach out and help guys out. So do that. Buy samples of things, of soaps. Don't buy full tubs of soaps, because you might get a soap that you think, oh my god, the description sounds amazing of that soap. You get it, you smell it and go, I don't like this, but now you've got a full tub of soap. that you don't really like when you can buy samples. Online stores, look at them. Certain ones do sell samples of like almost every soap. I highly recommend doing that as a veteran shaver or as a newbie after you've got some experience. Do that. Okay, guys, that's just something that I would recommend. When I first started, there wasn't that many samples, but guys were more than willing to sell out samples, so I got to try a lot of soaps that way. Yeah, so this kind of concludes my video. I hope it helped. I hope it was informative. Hope you guys got something out of it. I did enjoy making it. It made me think of how many mistakes I made when I started shaving. There wasn't a lot of tips on the actual shave itself, just some other things about the shave. Sorry about that. But for the new guys, if you check back, I've got a video on how to wet shave, which is more about the technique and stuff like that for new wet shavers. Check that out if you want. Maybe I'll put a link down below. I might not, but it'll be in my... Click to like and subscribe to me, like the video, check out my previous videos. I do reviews, unboxings, different stuff like that. Big shout out to Chicano Shaver for posting that on Instagram about the 7 things I wish I didn't do as a fragrance head, and I'm just making a wet shaving thing. So hopefully other guys may do other videos like this. I'd love to see other guys make a video just like this, see what they have to say, see what they think. But thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate the support. I love doing these videos. It makes me feel good. Love responding to your comments. Yeah, thank you again, guys. It's been great doing this video. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. I plan on relaxing, spending some time with my family. My twins are turning 2 on the 30th, so big day coming up. Yeah, so have a great weekend. Stay smooth. Deuces.